As she passed through an empty alley near the old mechanic yard, she heard it, a sound that made her stop. A groan. Faint. Ragged. Human. She froze, clutching her bag tighter. Lagos was full of traps. Sometimes, thieves pretended to be injured to lure victims. She turned to leave, but then she heard it again. A weak voice, barely more than a whisper. Help, please. Her heart tugged. Slowly she followed the sound. At the end of the alley, beside a pile of rusted car parts, lay a man, or what was left of one. His shirt was torn, his face bruised and swollen, blood dried along the side of his neck. His breathing was shallow, his hands trembling weakly in the dust. Amara gasped. He looked barely alive. She knelt beside him, hesitating. Sir, can you hear me? His eyelids fluttered. Water, he croaked. She reached for the bottle in her nylon bag, half filled with warm water, and helped him drink. He coughed, groaning as he swallowed. Who did this to you? She asked softly. He didn't answer. His eyes rolled back and he went still. Panic rose in her chest. She looked around, no one. The alley was deserted. Her heart decided before her mind could argue. With surprising strength, Amara lifted him, half dragging, half carrying, to the small wooden shack behind the bridge where she sometimes slept. In a small mud house at the edge of the village, a young girl named Amara sat beside her mother, pounding yam in a wooden mortar. The rhythmic sound of pestle against yam filled the quiet evening, mingling with the distant laughter of children playing by the stream. Amara was only 16, but her eyes held the weight of someone who had seen too much of life too soon. Her family was poor, not just in money but in luck. Her father, once a palm wine tapper, had fallen from a tree years ago and had never walked properly again. Her mother sold vegetables in the local market, struggling each day to feed the family of 5. Despite their hardship, Amara was known throughout the village for her beauty and kindness. Her skin glowed like cocoa under sunlight, her eyes were gentle, and her smile could calm even the harshest heart. But what made her truly special was her spirit, humble, hardworking, and full of hope. She often said, "One day God will lift us out of this poverty. I don't know how, but He will." That day seemed to come sooner than anyone expected. One afternoon, as Amara helped her mother at the market, a sleek black SUV rolled into the dusty square, its tinted windows drawing curious eyes. People whispered as a well-dressed woman stepped out, tall, elegant, and radiant, with gold bangles that jingled when she moved. Her name was Madame Gloria, known across the region as a businesswoman who often helped poor families by sponsoring their children in the city. She walked through the market like royalty, buying fruits and greeting the traders. When she reached Amara's mother's stall, she stopped. "My goodness," she said, looking at Amara as if she'd found a hidden gem. "Is this your daughter?" "Yes, Ma," Amara's mother replied nervously, wiping her hands on her wrapper. "Her name is Amara." Madame Gloria smiled warmly. "What a beautiful girl. You're a lucky mother. Such grace, such poise. Tell me, my dear, have you ever been to the city?" Amara shook her head shyly. "No, Ma. I've never left the village." Madame Gloria chuckled softly. That's a shame. A girl like you deserves better. Tell me, would you like to go to school? To live in a good house, wear fine clothes, and have a future?" Amara's heart skipped. She glanced at her mother, who looked uncertain. "School?" she whispered. "In the city?" "Yes, my dear," Madame Gloria said, her tone full of promise. "I run a charity program. I take girls like you to the city, give them education, and train them to become women of value. You'll live with me and I'll treat you like my own daughter." Amara's mother's eyes filled with tears. "God bless you, Ma. You mean you'll help our daughter? We've prayed for this for years." Madame Gloria smiled again, that same smile that could melt stone. "Yes, but I need your permission. I'll take care of everything. You just need to trust me." And they did. That night, Amara's mother couldn't stop crying, tears of gratitude and fear mixed together. She hugged her daughter tightly. "Be good, my child," she said. "Respect Madame Gloria. Work hard. Remember who you are." "I will, Mama," Amara said, trying to hide her own nervousness. "I'll make you proud." By morning, Amara climbed into the back seat of Madame Gloria's car. Her siblings waved, her mother sobbed, and her father, too weak to stand, raised his trembling hand from the doorway. "God go with you, my daughter," he said softly. As the car drove off, the village faded into a blur behind her. Amara pressed her face against the window, heart pounding with hope and fear. She imagined herself in a classroom, writing in notebooks, wearing fine clothes, living the dream she had prayed for all her life. But dreams have a way of turning into nightmares when evil hides behind a smile. The first week in Lagos felt like heaven. The mansion was big, bigger than any building Amara had ever seen. There were chandeliers that sparkled like stars, marble floors, and maids in uniforms. Madame Gloria gave her new clothes, a soft bed, and even a phone. "You see," Madame Gloria said one morning, sipping tea. "I told you your life would change. Soon you'll be working with my clients, attending events. You'll make me proud." Amara smiled gratefully. "Thank you, Ma." But soon she began to notice strange things. At night, some of the older girls in the house would leave dressed in tight clothes and heavy makeup. They would return before dawn, quiet and exhausted. Once, Amara overheard them whispering in the kitchen. "She's new," one said. "Madam will soon tell her what's really going on." The other girl laughed bitterly. "Poor thing. She still thinks she came here for school." Amara's stomach tightened. She didn't understand, not yet. The truth came one evening when Madame Gloria called her into her office. The woman's tone was sharp now, her smile gone. "You've been here for 2 weeks," she said. "You've eaten my food, worn my clothes, used my house. Now it's time to start working." Amara frowned. "Working, Ma? Doing what?" Madame Gloria leaned back, lighting a cigarette. "You're a smart girl. My clients are wealthy men. They pay a lot of money for girls like you. You'll entertain them. Make them happy. That's your job." Amara froze. "Ma, I don't understand. I came here for school." Madame Gloria laughed coldly. "School? You think I waste money sending girls to school? You're not a child anymore. You'll do what I say." Amara's heart pounded. "No, Ma. I can't. I won't do that." The slap came fast and hard. "You think you have a choice?" Madame Gloria hissed. "Your parents signed you over to me. You belong to me now." Tears filled Amara's eyes. "Please, Ma. I'll clean. I'll cook. I'll do anything. But not that." Madame Gloria stared at her for a long moment, then smirked. "Fine. If you won't work for me, you can go back to the streets. But don't come crawling back when hunger teaches you sense." The next morning, Amara's bag was thrown at her. She was dragged out of the mansion and dumped on a busy street, her old clothes stuffed into a nylon bag. She stood there, trembling as cars sped past and strangers stared. The city she once dreamed of now looked like a jungle, loud, dangerous, uncaring. That night, Amara slept under a bridge for the first time. The concrete was cold and rats ran past her feet. She held her bag close, crying silently. "Mama," she whispered, "you said God would protect me. Where is he now?" But even in her pain, she refused to give up. She found small jobs, washing plates at food stalls, carrying water for shop owners, cleaning markets. Every naira she earned went to food and survival. The city tried to break her, but she fought back with quiet strength. The city was never kind to the weak. By the time Amara had spent 3 months on the streets, she had learned that lesson well. Each morning, she woke to the sound of car horns, the smell of exhaust fumes, and the chill of dawn air biting through her thin clothes. She slept beneath the eco-bridge, curled up beside her nylon bag like it was treasure. Around her, other forgotten souls, women with babies, men clutching bottles, boys with hollow eyes, fought for scraps of survival. Every day, Amara washed plates at a roadside canteen owned by Mama Chinyere, an old woman who took pity on her. For 500 naira, Amara would work from sunrise till the last plate was clean. Her hands were always wrinkled from soap, her back sore, her feet blistered. But she endured. She smiled when she could, prayed when she couldn't, and whispered her mother's words like a spell. The sun still rises for those who wait. Still, some nights, when the sky turned purple and the city lights blurred through her tears, Amara wondered if her sun would ever rise again. It was a Friday evening, one of those nights when the sky seemed heavy with secrets. The clouds rolled low over the streets and thunder rumbled faintly in the distance. Amara had just finished her shift, her worn sandals slapping softly against the wet pavement as she walked back toward the bridge. She held a small nylon bag of leftover rice from the canteen, her only meal for the day. As she passed through an empty alley near the old mechanic yard, she heard it, a sound that made her stop. A groan. Faint. Ragged. Human. She froze, clutching her bag tighter. Lagos was full of traps. Sometimes, thieves pretended to be injured to lure victims. She turned to leave, but then she heard it again. A weak voice, barely more than a whisper. "Help, please." Her heart tugged. Slowly she followed the sound. At the end of the alley, beside a pile of rusted car parts, lay a man, or what was left of one. His shirt was torn, his face bruised and swollen, Blood dried along the side of his neck. His breathing was shallow, his hands trembling weakly in the dust. Amara gasped. He looked barely alive. She knelt beside him, hesitating. "Sir, can you hear me?" His eyelids fluttered. "Water," he croaked. She reached for the bottle in her nylon bag, half filled with warm water, and helped him drink. He coughed, groaning as he swallowed. "Who did this to you?" she asked softly. He didn't answer. His eyes rolled back and he went still. Panic rose in her chest. She looked around, no one. The alley was deserted. Her heart decided before her mind could argue. With surprising strength, Amara lifted him, half dragging, half carrying, to the small wooden shack behind the bridge where she sometimes slept. It wasn't much, a roof made of tin, walls patched with cardboard, and a tattered mat on the floor. But it was shelter. She laid him down gently and covered him with her wrapper. Then she cleaned his wounds with water from a small bucket, tearing a piece of her scarf to wipe the blood. All night, she sat beside him, whispering prayers. "God, please don't let this man die in my hands. Please." By morning he was still alive, barely. Over the next few days, Amara used every coin she had to buy medicine and food. She went hungry so he could eat. She worked extra hours at the canteen, lying to Mama Chinyur that she needed money for her sick cousin. Slowly the man began to recover. When he finally opened his eyes fully, Amara was sitting nearby, sewing a torn sleeve. He stared at her for a long moment, his brow furrowing. Where am I?" "You're safe," Amara said gently. "You were hurt. I found you in an alley." He tried to sit up but winced. "My name is Darius," he whispered. "Amara," she said simply, offering him a cup of water. "Drink. You need strength." He nodded weakly. "How long have I been here?" 4 days. He looked around, at the tin roof, the broken mat, the damp floor. His expression softened. You've been taking care of me?" She shrugged. "You needed help." His gaze lingered on her worn clothes, her tired eyes, her humility. "Why?" he asked quietly. "You don't even know me." Amara smiled faintly. "Because one day someone helped me when they didn't have to. I just wish I could have repaid them. Maybe helping you is my way." Darius looked away, emotion flickering in his eyes. He tried to speak but his throat tightened. In that silence, something unspoken passed between them, the fragile bond of two souls scarred by different kinds of pain. As Darius regained his strength, he began to talk more. Slowly, Amara pieced together fragments of his story. He wasn't an ordinary man. He was the only son of Chief Emeka Okoro, billionaire CEO of Okoro Holdings, one of the largest real estate companies in the country. He had been missing for 5 days. "I was attacked," Darius said one evening, his voice low. "A deal went wrong. I think someone close to me wanted me dead." Amara's eyes widened. "You mean, you're a rich man?" He gave a small, bitter smile. "I was. Now I'm just lucky to be alive." She didn't treat him any differently after that. She still cooked for him, still washed his clothes, still spoke to him with the same quiet respect. Darius noticed it, the purity in her eyes, the kindness untouched by greed. "You risked your life for a stranger," he said one night, his voice rough with gratitude. "You didn't even know who I was." "I didn't need to," she replied softly. "You were human. That was enough." For the first time in years, Darius felt something he hadn't known he'd lost: humility. He had been born into comfort, surrounded by bodyguards, luxury cars, and servants who bowed when he passed. But none of that had saved him when death came calling. This girl, a homeless nobody, had done what money could not. By the end of the week, Darius was strong enough to walk. He insisted on thanking Amara properly. "Come with me," he said one morning. "Let me take you home." Amara shook her head. "This is my home." He looked around the shack, the holes in the roof, the broken walls, the dirt floor. His heart ached. "Not anymore," he said firmly. "You saved my life. I won't let you live like this." Before she could protest, a convoy of black SUVs pulled up near the bridge. Men in suits rushed out, shouting, "Sir, we found you." They surrounded Darius, helping him into the car. One of them asked, "Who's the girl, sir?" Darius looked at Amara, his voice steady. "The reason I'm alive." He turned to his men. "Bring her with us." Amara hesitated. "No, I can't. People like me don't belong with people like you." Darius smiled gently. "Then maybe it's time someone changed that." And before she could argue again, the car door opened, and for the second time in her life, Amara left the world she knew behind. Only this time it wasn't with a lie. It was with a promise. one born not of deception but of gratitude. As the convoy drove toward the city's wealthiest district, Amara stared out the window, her heart trembling between fear and hope. She didn't know what waited ahead. The car rolled past tall iron gates that shimmered beneath golden sunlight. Amara's eyes widened as the convoy turned into a massive driveway lined with palm trees and marble statues. The air smelled of roses and wealth. The mansion before her gleamed like something out of a dream. White walls, tall windows, polished floors that reflected the sky. She sat frozen, her heart pounding. All her life, she had walked barefoot through dust and mud, slept beneath bridges and eaten leftovers from strangers. Now she stood before a house so vast that her entire village could have fit inside it. But she didn't smile. She didn't even breathe for a few seconds. Because she knew from experience, not every mansion hid kindness behind its walls. Inside the mansion, the staff rushed out to meet Darius. Cheers and tears filled the air. "Sir, we thought you were dead," one of them cried. His father, Chief Emeka Okoro, came down the staircase like a king descending his throne. His white kaftan shimmered beneath the chandelier light, his face strong, proud, but shadowed by days of worry. "Darius," he shouted, his deep voice echoing through the hall. He rushed forward and wrapped his son in a trembling embrace. For a moment, the man who commanded empires looked like any other father, fragile with love. When he pulled away, his eyes fell on Amara. "And who is this?" Chief Okoro asked, his brows narrowing slightly. Darius turned to her, his tone gentle. "This is Amara, the girl who saved my life." The chief's gaze flicked over her, the torn dress, the worn slippers, the nervous hands clutching one another. For a man used to polished diamonds, Amara looked like a piece of uncut stone. "Saved your life?" he repeated slowly. "Yes, father," Darius said firmly. "When I was beaten and left for dead, she found me. She took me in, cared for me, fed me with the little she had. I owe her my life." The room fell silent. Even the housemaid stopped moving. For a moment, Chief Okoro said nothing. His eyes softened, but only slightly. "I see," he murmured. "Well, you've done a good thing, my daughter." He gestured to one of the maids. "Take her to the guest room. Let her clean up and rest." Amara bowed slightly. "Thank you, sir." Her voice was small, humble. She followed the maid upstairs, but she could feel the weight of eyes on her back, curious, judging, doubtful. The guest room was larger than any house Amara had ever known. The bed looked like clouds stitched together, the curtains shimmered like gold dust. When she stepped into the bathroom and turned on the tap, water gushed out, clear, warm, endless. She stared at it for a long time. Back home, she had fetched water from the stream for hours each day. On the streets, she drank from bottles she picked from bins. And now, she had hot water that never ran out. She wanted to cry, but instead she smiled, a small, disbelieving smile. Later, a maid brought her food, rice, chicken, and juice that tasted like mango and sunlight. Amara ate slowly, tears threatening to spill. For the first time in years, her stomach felt full. That evening, Chief Okoro invited her to dinner. The dining hall looked like something from another world, chandeliers glowing, silver cutlery lined perfectly, a long table that could seat 20. Amara sat quietly beside Darius, her back straight, her eyes downcast. Chief Okoro cleared his throat. "My son tells me you saved his life," he said, his tone thoughtful. "For that, you have my gratitude." "Thank you, sir," Amara replied softly. He studied her carefully. "You look too young to be living on the streets. Where are your parents?" Amara hesitated, then spoke. "In the village, sir. They thought a rich woman was taking me to the city for school. But she lied. Her voice broke. She took a breath and continued. "She sold girls to men. When I refused, she threw me out." The silence that followed was heavy. Chief Okoro's face darkened. He wasn't a man easily moved, but something about Amara's story pierced through his pride. "So you've suffered much?" he said slowly. "Yes, sir," she replied. "But I'm still thankful. I'm alive. And I met your son." Darius smiled faintly beside her. "She's stronger than she looks, father. She saved me with nothing but courage and compassion." The chief nodded, thoughtful. Then he looked at her again. "And what would you want, my child? Money? A house? Perhaps a job?" Amara shook her head. "I don't want anything, sir. I only did what I thought was right." Her words struck him harder than any request could have. He was used to people wanting something, a favor, a deal, a handout. But this girl, she wanted nothing. For the first time he smiled. "You remind me of someone I used to know," he said quietly. "My mother." The next morning, Darius found his father standing by the balcony, looking out at the city skyline. "Father," he said, "I want to help her. She has nowhere to go." Chief Okoro turned slowly. "And what do you suggest?" "I want her to live here for now. Let her go back to school. Give her a chance." The older man said nothing for a while. Then he nodded. "So be it. If she was the one who gave me back my son, then this house, this family, owes her that much." When Amara heard the news, she was overwhelmed. "Sir, please, I can't stay here." "I'm not." Chief Okoro raised a hand. "Your family now. You've earned it." Her knees buckled and she fell to the floor in gratitude. "Thank you, sir. Thank you." From that day, Amara's life began to change. Under the guidance of tutors, Amara began to study again. She learned English, computers, and business. The staff grew fond of her. Her humility softened every heart. Even the mansion seemed to glow brighter when she laughed. Darius often visited her study sessions, bringing snacks or teasing her gently. "You're smarter than half the people in my office," he'd joke. She'd smile shyly. "I'm just trying not to waste the chance you gave me." Months passed. Amara bloomed like a flower that had finally found sunlight. Her clothes changed, but her heart didn't. She still helped the maids clean. She still prayed before meals. She never forgot the bridge or the hunger or the pain. Chief Okoro noticed. And one evening he called her into his study. "Amara," he said, his voice warm but serious, "I've decided to sponsor you fully. You'll go to school, and when you're ready you'll work in our company, not as charity, but as someone who earned her place." Tears filled her eyes. "Sir, I don't know how to thank you." "Just keep being who you are," he said softly. Years later, Amara stood beside Darius at a charity event, the same kind of event where he'd once been attacked. She was no longer the ragged girl from under the bridge. She was confident, graceful, educated, a woman of purpose. When reporters asked about her, Darius smiled proudly. "She's the reason I'm alive," he said. "And she reminds me every day that true wealth isn't found in the size of your house, but in the size of your heart." Amara spoke too, her voice steady and kind. "Sometimes life breaks us so we can rebuild stronger. I was homeless once, but kindness found me. And now, I want to help others find their way too." The crowd applauded. Cameras flashed. But Amara didn't care about the fame. She looked up at the sky, whispering a quiet prayer of gratitude. In her heart, she knew she had kept her promise, to survive, to remain kind, and to never let darkness win.